Hey you guys, Pumper Priest here. So in this video I will discuss if I think Cell is underrated or overrated, and in order to do that I will look critically at these categories, and then I will put Cell in a tier in each of these categories, and after that is done I will draw my final conclusion, putting him in the tier where I think he belongs overall, and then I state if I think he's underrated or overrated. I will also briefly address these three other points. If you're interested in that as well, you can stick around. So, first of all, let's talk about his normals, specials, and mix. I'll be covering the frame data on his moves in this segment, and I will also be talking about Cell's possibilities to stagger and other ways how he mixes his opponents up. So first of all, let's talk about his auto combo. The great thing about his auto combo is, first of all, his jab is only 6 frames. Let's put our opponent to block all, though. So 6 frames startup, so it's one of the faster ones, and it carries quite far for the 6 frame jab. It's okay, it's not bad, I'd say. And it's -3 on block, which is quite usual. And yeah, his 2L hits low. Great thing, and it's 7 frames, so it's one of the faster ones. And yeah, let's talk about his full auto combo for a sec. So it's one of those combos, auto combos, where the last hit is a grab. So be careful, since if you let the full auto combo rock in your opponent's face, the last grab will hit due to block stun protection. Anyway, one thing people really, a lot of people don't know actually, like let our opponent reflect for a sec. Let's say, whatever. You see, the thing about, the great thing about his auto combo is that you will get immediately in his face again, just like GT Goku in the last season. But actually, Cell's auto combo is even a little bit better than GT Goku's auto combo in this situation, even when you compare to last season, simply because you can manually input how far the second hit of his auto combo reaches. For example, if I just press light, I will be in his face again, so he has to either reflect twice or just keep blocking afterwards. So yeah, didn't do him any good to reflect against Cell. The other scenario is, as a Cell main, you can actually read that and manually input that his second hit won't reach that far. You see? The second hit of the auto combo didn't reach as far, so let's put him back to normal, or dummy. Anyway, you see the second hit of the auto combo didn't reach as far as usual. So that ended up in whiffing, so instead the grab hit our opponent. So even if he decides to reflect 3 times in a row, he'll get hit, and you get a full combo afterwards. Sure, it will be scaled heavily since it started with a grab, but it's still really great regardless. Alright then, let's go to the next one. Let's talk about his 5M. One of the best 5Ms in the entire game, I'd say. Since look at that range, it's ridiculous. It's not like DBS Broly's, but it carries quite far, as you can see, since he actually travels a little bit forward, and it's only 9 frames startup, which is ridiculously fast. And the great thing is, just like Goku Blue, you can actually put in a 4M and do a second one. There is a tight gap between it, a small gap between between those 2 hits. The thing is, the gap is so small that you will get hit out of it if you do anything else than roll over 3, DP or reflect. So it's a really great stagger tool, and you are not really a lot minus. You can see -5 only, so it's really good for staggering. Regarding his 2M, one of the better ones in the game, I would say. It's 12 if you're in your opponent's face, which is decent, I'd say. But the good thing is it travels really far. As you can see, 70 frames, but it really covers half of the screen. You see, it still connects. Only up here it starts whiffing. So it's really a great tool to use in neutral. Keep that in mind. Next one I want to talk about is one of his worst moves, I'd say, is his 2H. Not a good range. It seems good at first glance, but if you see whiffs. Here it starts connecting. It doesn't travel forward a bit. The hitbox is really pathetic, I should look at it. You just use it only to punish a super dash or anything like it, but even then perfect attack is in a lot of cases the better answer, but we'll come to that later. Next one I want to talk about is this 5H. Not really much to say about, unless one thing maybe you can actually load it. If you can keep pressing the button to increase the damage, and you travel a little bit further I think, but only by a small amount, so it's not really noteworthy. But it might help you in some scenarios to stagger even more, to catch your opponent smashing maybe. But yeah, to be quite honest with you, I don't really use it. Maybe I should though, but yeah, anyway. Next one is this 6H, which is unique to Cell. So he's got a third low, which is always great to have. 30 frames, -5. Once again, you might notice by now that Cell's frame data is really good. And the thing is, the more I always keep telling people that you shouldn't underestimate characters with a lot of lows, since the more low options you've got, the better your 6M becomes. Like this one will get much harder to block after his 2M than with a character that doesn't have a third low option, since then you can just stand blocking and you're fine. But in Cell's case, however, you can't do that, because Cell can just stick out his 6H and get an entire combo out of it, and that will hurt as well. Alright then. The next one I want to talk about is his Ki Blast, his standing Ki Blast especially. One of his weaker tools, I'd say. The good thing is it's relatively fast, but the reach isn't that good, so I actually only use it in combos, in some combos actually only as well. There are some situations where you might use it, but it's kind of rare. Speaking of Ki Blast in the air, he's got this one. It's got a lot of recovery and it's relatively slow. The good thing is though, you can relatively fast cancel it into Kamehameha, and it still has its Ki Blast properties, so you can vanish out of it, like you see. So you're still pretty safe, but it's very situational. Not bad though. I use it from time to time, and there are situations where you definitely want to use it. But yeah, just be careful with it. That's all I'm gonna say, and I wouldn't recommend it if you don't have any bomb. Let's talk about his Rolling Crush, the light version. -2 in block. Great block string ender. It's relatively fast. It's an overhead. You can reliably block it on reaction though, but from time to time it will catch your opponent slipping. And yeah, the thing is, you're not able to combo afterwards, since it doesn't give a bounce on hit. To show you what I mean, really quick. There's no bounce. You can only you can go into super, that's possible, but that's about it. You can't do more. The medium version, however, you get a bounce, you can call an assist and combo afterwards, as you can see. So yeah, you can use both at an end of a block string, I'd say. I personally would recommend the light version, since you have to catch your opponent sleeping to catch them with the medium one. But anyway, it's still a tool to have, and and the thing is, both, let's put our opponent to block all once again, is it's -2. So -2, the great thing about -2 is you can backdash and challenge your opponent. A lot of people tend to just mash light once they think the opponent is done with their block swing. So you can, in Sal's case, backdash, and depending on your opponent, if his 5L reaches far or it doesn't, you can either stick out a 5M or a 2M and punish him and get a full combo. And if you've got Sal figured out, you can in a lot of situations actually TOD with him in this scenario. The last one I want to talk about is the Rolling Crush series, is his EX Perfect Attack. Really great move. Really great move. The thing is, the only thing about this is, though, it does have cross-up protection. Meaning that you are still in block stun, so you don't have to block. You actually don't have to switch sides to block correctly. But there are exceptions to the rule, and I want to show you what I mean. Alright then, now I'll show you what I mean with the EX Perfect Attack. There are EX Rolling Crush. There are exceptions to the rule, namely. You see, I blocked behind, but he did cross up. Simply because he delayed long enough, so the first hits didn't connect, and thus the cross-up protection won't come into it doesn't appear, simply put. So you can actually cross your opponent up in this case. Alright then. Next one I want to talk about is his Perfect Attack series, and which is probably the most iconic move for Cell. One thing to keep in mind, all of his Perfect Attack versions are anti-air moves. And anti-air moves are quite welcome if you consider how trash his 2H is. But, and the medium one is the typical TOD starter. But one thing I wanna put forward, let's give me a little bit more key. Alright then. His EX Perfect Attack is actually frame 1 invincible, but only against overheads. That's the thing. But it does have its upsides actually due to that, simply because it's a true reversal only against overheads. Thus you can call assist afterwards, even when blocked. That's not possible with QPs. That's one great thing, and you keep your mobility. So if it's blocked, you are so safe. Like, you see, you are -1, and you can actually move afterwards. So if your opponent decides to 2H immediately afterwards, you can just jump out of it, see it, and then you go for a super dash and punish it, or whatever. Or maybe you feel really like, come on, I'm gonna challenge my opponent. You can go directly for medium, or you can just keep it safe and backdash and all that kind of stuff. So Cell is pretty safe after his EX Perfect Attack. And one thing I want to show you before we move on is his mix-up potential with Perfect Attack. Alright, you see what I mean? You see what I mean? If you use a low block stun assist, it will actually override block stun, thus you won't have cross-up protection. And then this medium version of Perfect Attack is true cross-up. Good luck blocking that online. Or actually, good luck blocking that at all. You can challenge it, of course, but yeah, most likely people won't do it unless you have done it a lot of times in a row. And then you can actually mix them up again with doing the light one and staying on the same side. So it's a great thing. And one thing I want to talk about where we are talking about cross-up protection and overwriting block stun. There's one more thing I want to talk about, and let's go back to his auto combo for that. Namely, I will block, I will just simply block now, and you will see what happens. You see it? The grab actually connected. Normally that shouldn't be the case, since you are a block stun, so block stun protection will keep you safe. But not in this case, however. Not in this case. So Cell really excels with low block stun assists and high block stun assists as well, like doing EX perfect attack plus a Bardock B assist or Kid Buu A assist. But that's so well known that I don't intend to cover it here. You get 4-way mix-ups, 2-way mix-ups, high-low, whatever. You get the idea. And I think it's pretty well known, so I won't show it visually, but you know his mix-ups with high blocks and assists are really good. Okay. And there are only 2 more things I want to talk about. 3 more things, sorry. First of all, his 2S. It does have Ki Blast properties, so it's not that good to end a block swing with, since your opponent can reflect or super dash out of it. But if your opponent is really respectful and you want to keep your turn, you can actually use this move, since it's +2 in block. It's a great thing to have, just use it rarely only, then it might actually work. His beam is one of the better ones in the game, I'd say. You can angle it upwards, and you can't angle it while you are in the air, but it has a great angle anyway. So in most cases you wouldn't want to angle it anyway. So yeah, that's a good thing to have. And his command grab isn't that great, but it isn't that bad either. Simply because it's actually really slow. But the thing is, Cell has so many options that even the 30 frame grab will get great. And if combined with the right assist, like for example, that one, it will get really tight. Or if you combine it with C assist, it will get really tight as well. So yeah, his command grab isn't that bad for mix-ups either, but you have to use it wisely. You can't just throw it out in neutral, you get hit so often otherwise. Alright then, let's get our overall rating regarding this area. I'd say overall here he's actually S+, because without assists I probably put him in S tier, since his style game is really strong. He's got great options to mix your opponent up, even solo. But he's usually played on mid or point anyway, so you usually have assist covering him up. So I would definitely go with S+ here. Alright then, let's go to the next one. His damage potential. It's great, and I think it's pretty well known, so I will only give 2 examples. Alright, let's go to the next one. The next one I want to talk about is his damage potential, and I think it's pretty well known that it's great. But I will just show you 2 examples, which are common scenarios actually. One where you punish, for example, with your backdash, or the other one where you hard cancel in the corner. Both are pretty are cases which occur pretty often in Cell's case. So yeah, let's see his corner combo after 5M. You end with EX Rolling Crush, but 5.5k damage is really good, especially solo. Next one I want to talk about is his damage after a super dash, which I think is actually not known that much, what he can do there. it has to be said that you can only do that on middle-sized or tall characters, unless you're in the corner. You can do it on every size imaginable, but it's still a really great tool to have. So I really want to mention that. And we all know his TODs and stuff like that, so I don't want to drag this out any further. And to come to my conclusion, I would say he's S tier in this regard, since damage in all situations, but his damage isn't as broken as Goku Blues, for example. So yeah, let's come right to the next one. His neutral. Regarding his neutral, I already covered his normals, and as you've seen, they are pretty far-reaching. He's got great air mobility in case of that he can jab you out of Super Dash pretty easily because of his far-reaching jab and stuff like that. And yeah, he also has his 2-2M, but I would actually don't consider using this in neutral. You would just get 2H out of it in most cases, since it has really long startup and it's really easy to react to actually. So only use this really occasionally. And yeah, the thing which buffed Cell's neutral the most, I'd say, this season are his EX moves. Not only for mix-up, but also for neutral. Just look at the speed. It's actually really fast. And by the way, it's a great opener to start a round start, since it actually beats even here Bardock's Lariat or GT Goku's Lariat is faster than these moves. So you should get the idea that EX Rolling Crush is really good for neutral, and EX Perfect Attack I already explained in the mix-up section how fast it is against anti-airs as an anti-air. And you see the range, it's really huge. So these are really great tools to use. And what he's really lacking though are good key blasts. I already talked about these, and I stay with it. These are really not good. And so his air mobility is limited in case of key blasts. He's got a beam, but a beam is always a huge commitment, so be careful with this. I would say if Cell has a weakness, it's probably his neutral, but it's far from bad. Last season I would have said his neutral is really B tier at best, but this season it looks like that's no longer the case, since these EX changes really made a difference for him, and that they are only half a bar now. Cell can pretty much spam them. It's really good. So overall, I think I would put him in A tier, since he got a strength but doesn't have moves that let him get in for free, which other characters have, and he's also lacking a tool to control the screen very well, i.e. for example Key Blast, like Base Vegeta or characters like these. They have really great tools to get in. Cell does have great tools to get in, but not as great. So I think A tier is fair. Alright then, regarding his assists, I personally run him with a C assist. I think it's a good C assist, but not a really great one either. It's decent. Since it tracks a little bit in the air, but it only has 25 frames of block stun. I would really appreciate if they gave him 50 frames of block stun, like other C assists, but it's decent. The thing is other assists. I'm not a huge fan of his B assist, I'm gonna tell you. I think it doesn't reach. It's okay as far as it travels, but it's not extremely fast, and it pops up your opponent in a weird way. I think most characters prefer other assists to combo to keep their combos going, And for neutral it isn't the best either. For mix it isn't that great either, with only 26 frames of blocks done. I'm not a huge fan of it. Is air beam. The thing is, it does have such a low. Yeah, it's startup. It's so long. If it were faster and if it didn't pop the opponent up as high as it does, I would be a huge fan of it, and I would definitely want A assist. But the thing is, it does pop up immensely, and if your character you are running on point or whatever likes kind assist like these, then it's a really good assist. But it's not as good for most characters combo wise, and yeah, the startup really hurts it. They should buff the startup, I feel. And nonetheless, it's still not bad. It's a beam assist. There are no bad beam assists, but I would definitely argue that it's the worst of the beam assists in every situation possible, actually. But yeah, overall, I would think he's A, almost B tier actually when it comes to his assists. The only reason I'm giving him an A is because he has a beam assist, and beam assists, just as I've said before, they're never really bad. So yeah, and his C assist is solid as well. Could need a little buff, I feel, but it's okay. Alright then, let's go to the good bad matchups. This is going to be a quick one actually, because I really don't think there's such a thing for Cell. If you wanted to say he's got a weakness, I would say his characters with really good ki blast, since you might lose neutral. But I don't really feel like that is a real problem for Cell, since his neutral isn't that bad. Just as I've said, you can't have such great normals, you can't have such great moves with EX Rolling Crush and EX Perfect Attack and have a bad neutral. That's just not possible. So there are no counters for Cell in that, like, for real. But he doesn't counter any character either. So he's not like DBZ Broly, who counters some characters. So overall, I would say he's an S tier regarding to good bad matchups, since he has no real weaknesses but doesn't counter any characters either. That's really good, I would say. Alright, to our final rating, I would say S tier, like for sure. He does have his weaknesses when it comes to ki blast and screen control, but he's one of the best mix-up characters in the entire game. And to be clear once again, his neutral isn't really weak. It's just, it isn't ridiculously strong either. And don't forget, every hit hurts tremendously when Cell hits you, like for sure. Alright then, regarding the team suggestions, I would say run him point or mid. He's actually not bad as an anchor this season either, but you're just not using his potential if you run him on anchor, I feel. And that's the thing. I would run him with a low block stun assist, like Frieza or Trunks for example. Trunks A, of course. Although I personally would prefer Frieza's, not only because I'm a Frieza main, but actually because it gives Cell even more. It's easier to do, since it's only 11 frames of block stun and not 14 like Trunks A, and it also has a lot more hit stun, so you can do way better combos with Frieza assist than you can do with Trunks assist. So that's the thing. And I would pair him also with a high block stun assist, like for example Kipu A assist would be really dope. But if you want to have another neutral assist as well, plus the high hit stun assist, I would say go for Bardock's B broken assist. That's a really great thing, and of course he also likes, like every other character in the game, great neutral assist like GT Goku's A or whatever. But in particular for Cell, I would say low block stun and high hit stun assists are the best for him. So yeah. Okay, one last thing I want to do is draw a quick comparison to Season 1. Since a lot of people always say that, oh, what if Cell was as good as in Season 1? The thing is, I really think people tend to forget that almost all of his nerfs he received in Season 1 got reverted. Like, okay, his damage is still slightly nerfed, but it's still great, just not broken anymore. And his 6H used to scale like a medium starter. Now it scales like a light starter. Which is still great, because most people, most characters just don't have such a tool. Most characters don't have a third low. They simply don't have the option. And Cell has it in addition, and it scales like a light starter, which isn't bad scaling either. So it's really good. And his frame data got fixed. As you've seen, it's really good. One of the best frame data in the entire game, I'd say, which is actually part of the reason I play Cell. And not to mention that Rolling Crush didn't give you a bounce after hit. The medium in the EX version now do, so you can combo afterwards. This wasn't possible in Season 1. And Cell is one of the characters that really profited the most out of the exchanges, since now you can actually play neutral. This was really hard last season, but now it's not. Due to the exchanges, Cell's neutral is pretty good. So overall, I really think that he's actually better than in Season 1. The only thing is other characters got buffed as well, so he doesn't stand out as much, because the other characters got stronger, but that's a welcome thing, I would say. So overall, I think Cell is actually one of the most underrated characters in the entire game at this very point, and I really don't get why people don't put him in S tier. But I don't complain. Maybe Axis will buff him once again. Buff my boy. Go for it. So yeah, that concludes the video. I hope you did find it entertaining, you could learn something. If you got any questions, let me know in the comment sections. So yeah, take care, bye bye.